I'd like to call the meeting to order. Give me the fucking club. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's the only way I get your attention. That's the first time I ever used that thing. Okay, pursuant to State Law 54953B, Councilmember Chris Garola will attend the meeting via phone from 211 East 4th Street, 3G02 entrance, apartment 311 North Little Rock, Arkansas. The meeting agenda will be posted and this location, which is open to the public more than 24 hours before the meeting. Any interested member of the public may join the council member Chris Garola at this location for the meeting. Okay, with that, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Georgie, will you take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola, Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor.
What?
Councilmember Garola.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
Councilmember Brogy.
Here.
Councilmember Mendez.
Here. Okay, at this point, I'm going to move to approve the agenda. Can I entertain a motion?
Mayor, I would like to postpone or remove agenda item 9A. And the reason for that is I believe there's more information that needs to be explored that are in our staff report. So I'd like to make that motion for the agenda to remove item 9A, or postpone it to a later date.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Garola.
I would just like to make one stipulation, so no.
What was the stipulation?
Just that we set a date that the item would be readdressed.
Okay, we can do, I think we can do that, can't we, Dave?
Let me to amend my motion.
Huh? Okay, we can do that. Do we need to amend it?
Okay, what exactly did you ask? Oh.
We don't, to be determined. Correct? Chris, did you want it just to be determined at this point so that staff can gather whatever questions they've had from us?
Sure. Can we have an item update on the next meeting agenda for the date at which this will be addressed?
Okay, great.
I don't want it to be left open-ended.
Okay, do you,
Okay.
with that, do you amend it? Do you vote yes on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Georgie, can you do the roll call vote again?
Councilmember Garola.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brogy.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
And everybody who came here to speak on 9A, if you'd like to, I'll leave your cards up here, and you can still address the council under public comment. Okay? Tonight.
Can I add one more comment?
Yes.
Is it possible, and this is to Tiffany, is it possible to elaborate just a little bit on what a sampling of the questions that we do have for staff before we move forward with this? In other words, I don't want to just blindly.
Well, it's not really on the agenda anymore, since you guys have sort of taken it off the agenda. But I mean, super briefly, the law on this, on what you can do is in flux right now. There have been 2 recent cases that that limit what cities can do, and if you don't have homeless shelter beds available to offer to people. But then there are also issues about the cleanup that is being contemplated, and So staff needs to talk more with the county and contractors about what that cost might be. And so when this comes back, there'll be more information about those.
Okay, great.
Okay. With that, we're going to move to presentations. Fillmore Library update, Nancy Stram.
Thank you. There it is. All right. Good evening, Mayor Austin, City Council members, city staff. I'm Nancy Schramm. I'm the Library Director for the Ventura County Library. I am here with a team of our library representatives. I have Ned Branch, who is our brand new Deputy Library Director for the Ventura County Library. If his name sounds familiar, he was about over 10 years a library director at the Santa Paula Library, and now he's with us at the Ventura County Library as our deputy director. I also have Tim Fergel, who is the regional librarian who oversees a region of libraries that includes the Fillmore Library, and of course your local library branch manager, Catherine McDowell. So I'm so happy to have the library team here, and I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about your brand new expanded Fillmore Library. Yay, we did it, woohoo! The library reopened to the public after a long closure. It reopened to the public on November 19th, 2022. And prior to that, we felt that it was really important to get community input regarding the library. That was how we saw that we could really respond to the community needs when it comes to library services. So there were a series of public meetings from January 2018 to 2019 that were held, and I see some folks here in the audience today who were a part of those meetings, so happy to see them, and they gave us input on how library services could be structured here in the city of Fillmore and best meet their needs. So that was very important, and I want to thank everybody who participated in that series of public meetings. Looking at the large timeline of the Fillmore Library, and go all the way back to 1955 when the original Fillmore Library is constructed. And I love this timeline because it shoots way up to 2019. In fact, that is when we received funding from the state of California, 1.5 million, that really helped us get this project off the ground. And then in October of 2021, as I mentioned, the library did have to close to the public. And while the construction was going on, we were fortunate that we had our Ventura County Mobile Library that was able to provide some services here in Fillmore during that closure time. And I want to thank our mobile library team for taking that initiative and getting out here and still maintaining library services, some of them right here, the stops right here at City Hall. But then we did reopen to the public in November of 2022. So this project, it was a long time coming. There was a significant need. There was really just that need for additional space. We worked with a variety of partners to develop the plans and expand the library facility. So again, looking at that timeline, there's some photos here on this slide that show how that construction progressed. There's a photo there showing from December 3rd, 2021, January 4th, 2022, and then shooting ahead to March 8th, 2022. You can really see the scope and size of the project that effectively doubled the size of this library facility. Again, just a quick mention of the funding that made this project possible. Of course, there was the state of California funding, but we can't talk about this project without mentioning Lucille Snap Wigley and a bequest that she left to the Fillmore Library several years ago. And these were estate funds that she left to the Fillmore Library in memory of her husband. She said her husband was the smartest man in the world because he was a library user, and I love that. So sure enough, she left that bequest, and that certainly made this project possible as well. The benefits of this Fillmore Library expansion, they're really trifold. They improve the library function, so the day-to-day operations of your library. The additional library square footage, it allows for increased daily operations. Quite simply put, more room to hold more services, more programs, more activities. And we were also able to incorporate our current technologies into the building. So that new building design provides for that space for our very talented library team to perform the typical library functions. The increased library programming space was very important. As I mentioned, this building expansion, it effectively doubled the size of the existing library. It added about 2,000 square feet of space. That included space for library programming, adult literacy tutoring, English as second language classes, early childhood literacy classes, maker programs, and so much more that we can do in these new spaces. So we're talking about a library that is a busy community hub of civic engagement, and people of all ages are interacting and connecting not only with resources at this library, but with each other. They're connecting with each other. And the library continues to be a space for these community gatherings, and as I said, that hub for civic engagement and education. These are some photos from your new Fillmore Library. As you can see, new flooring, new furnishings. There was a new opening day collection. It was refreshed. People of all ages. There's a laptop lending kiosk where people can check out and use computers, and so much more. Some of our favorite features of this library include a classroom. There's a community classroom. It's a separate space, and it allows for events such as adult literacy tutoring, or small groups up to maybe 20 people can use that space and hold classes and meetings. There's a larger meeting room, which we also call an innovation lab, and that is because it incorporates a lot of technology. There's a series of flat screen digital screens, for example. I'm trying to remember exactly how many. It's at least 6 throughout that space. And a lot more. A large screen projector. There's opportunity in both the classroom and the meeting room for virtual meetings to be held. It's just a great and collaborative space, and I know there already are some exciting partnerships, and probably many more to come, where there are going to be students coming in and participating in various STEAM activities, programs related to science, technology, engineering, and math, and learning those skills that they need for today's work or tomorrow's workforce. There's also 2 small study rooms, and this is something that we heard a lot from the community when we met with them. Yes, we need that big meeting room space for big community meetings. But we also need smaller study rooms, just enough space for maybe 2 people, a tutor and a learner, to meet together for tutoring, or maybe somebody wants to come in and have a business meeting on Zoom. This is a space where they can do that now. So there's 2 of those, and just this week we're in the process of implementing express hours at the library. This will be the 2nd library in our Ventura County Library System to host express hours, whereby adults 18 and over can sign up to use basic self-services at the library, even without staff assistance. And they get a library card that will give them that access to those library services. Once we implement that, it's going to increase the hours of access through those basic self-services by 14 hours per week. I do want to stress it's basic self-services. Ideally, we'd have staff there 24/7 if we could. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do 24/7, so we said, well, how can we expand some services? What are creative ways we can think out of the box and at least get people access to some of the basic self-services, the collections, the Wi-Fi, when we might not have staffing available, and this innovative technology allowed us to do that. So here are some more photos of people using the library. Lots of activities, as I said, people of all ages. There's people, who, experts really, who have said that our libraries may very well play a key role in connecting people and bridging some of the divides that we're seeing in society today. If you haven't read a book that was published a few years ago by Eric Klinenberg called Palaces for the People, do so. He talks about that. And I love these photos because it does show those social connections and how it's connecting our community members and bringing them together, in addition to, of course, the very important lifelong learning aspect of your public library and connecting people to resources. That is the end of my slideshow. I want to say thank you to City, all of you, so much for your support in this project. It absolutely was a team effort, and it took a lot of partners, and the city being a very important one of them, obviously. We wanted to listen to you and to the community voices to make it possible. We're always here to listen and provide Fillmore with the very best library services for Fillmore. So don't stop that input. We're here to listen and continue to innovate and improve and make changes moving forward, but we're just so excited that you have a brand new Fillmore library. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you might have any.
Yeah, Nancy, first of all, I'm so happy that you're here, and I remember going back years ago when we're trying to move this forward, and I would share some information with the community about, enhancing and enlarging our library, and the feedback I would get from so many people was, well, we don't even need libraries anymore. And, you did a really great job this evening, I think, of explaining, how it's more than just going in and checking out a book. It can be and should be the hub of the community, and I think that's where we're headed right now. So I thank you very much for your hard work. I thank Catherine for all of her hard work and love that she's our librarian. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you also. Thank you so much, Nancy, for coming. Thank you for your leadership in this process. And sometimes things take a while, or you run into delays and everything. And I appreciate the patience of the county and of the city and everyone who was involved to make this happen. It's so right what Councilmember Broggie said, that we do need our libraries. And something comes to mind. I used to work in downtown LA. And the California Endowment has this beautiful building, and on the first floor, it's a bunch of meeting rooms, and they were constantly, the need was so high for people in the community to gather and did not have to pay for a space to gather. There were groups there from Mother's Bereavement to, a Tobacco Control Coalition, and just knowing that people in Fillmore and beyond, that we have this space, a free space where you can, again, gather with groups and do something well in the community and meet and talk and break bread, because I know I've had refreshments are allowed in those meeting rooms, just to be neat. So I think that's really wonderful. And I also wanted to say that thanks to Kat for all of her leadership. I feel like she's a local celebrity. Everyone knows you and loves you, so thank you. And also for those who don't know, or maybe in Fillmore Library you didn't find the book that you wanted, and it might come from another one in our county system, or it may not be there. And I know Kat's helped me several times where I wanted a book, and she said, well, let's put it on the request list. Let's put it in there. And then I get the notice, it might take a little while, but I get the notice the book comes in. So just know that you can get the book you want from the library system. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to public comments. Chris, do you have any public speakers there? Any Fillmore people in Arkansas?
There are no public speakers here.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to call our first public speaker, Marco Marin. And you have 3 minutes. When it hits yellow, it's 30 seconds left.
Thank you. Good evening, council members, community members, mayor. My name is Marco. I live on Burlington Street. I'm one of 12 property owners that live within the Riverwalk community that have constructed fences extending parts of our backyard. 10 of us received letters from a law firm representing the city, giving us a deadline of May 6th to take down our fences and move them back to a public service easement that exists there. I only have 3 minutes to respectfully give details and point out to council a few of the many inconsistencies within their current approach of possible litigation towards 10 Fillmore residents. I do not speak for the property owners, but I believe more will come forward and give details regarding their specific situation. In my case, I moved into my house in 2014. It took my wife and I 6 years to save enough money to remodel our backyard. In 2020, my wife and I decided to put in a pool. When I reviewed our lot measurements with the assessor's office, the county assessor's office, I found that the existing fence was not at the edge of my property line. I found that my property line actually extended approximately 3 more feet. I began to inquire with several city employees to ask how I could go about extending my fence line as part of my backyard remodel and pool addition. I was given direction by several city employees on how to go about submitting plans for proposed changes for my remodel. I submitted those plans, went back and forth with several city employees, made several corrections to my plan, and at the request of the staff, and we finally got a plan that worked for both of us. The city approved the plans. I used these plans to go ahead with the build and the remodel of my backyard. The very first thing I completed in my remodel was a fence extension. I knocked down the existing old vinyl fence, poured a new wall within standards. I hired a contractor to do that and put up a new fence. This process took us almost 2 weeks. None of the city employees, nobody from the city stopped during those 2 weeks to tell me or order me to stop the building fence. Unlike the neighbor directly behind me who was ordered to stop his building process when he was building, that didn't happen to me. Furthermore, the inspector was on my property several times inspecting the ongoing process of the pool build, the rebar, the hole, the concrete, the electricity. All that entire time the fence had already been posted. You've seen the same building plans that I hold in my hands. Never once did he say anything about that fence line being inappropriate or being not approved. On the last day of final inspection, he said, I can't sign this final permit, given direction to hire somebody from the city for further instructions, which I did. It unraveled a whole bunch of other very frustrating details I don't have time to explain now. But to be clear, even then, I was not directed to take down my my fence line by anybody in the city. To conclude, it is my understanding that 2 property owners within that same community, within 2 blocks of us, actually have permits granted by the city for the same thing that we're being asked to undo and possibly go into litigation. I don't have time to give more details, but I thank you guys for your time. I'm asking for the council to consider a meeting with some of our residents that is affected so you guys can get all the details from both sides. Thank you guys for your time.
If you'd like to, you can leave that with the clerk and it'll be part of the record. I mean, if you want to.
I'm sorry.
Or your letter,
Yeah,
if
these
you
are,
want to, or whatever.
it's okay, thank you.
Okay. Next speaker is Latia, is it Latia and Letitia? Letitia Ramirez? Is this where you're trying to spell your name twice or what?
Leticia. They
Okay,
said that
I
they
mean-
couldn't read my name, so
There's 2 names on it.
I
I'm
wrote
like,
it again.
Okay,
My writing is really awful. Sorry about that.
no problem.
Okay, so city council members, city management, and officials. My name is Leticia Ramirez. I live on 716 Santa Fe Street in Fillmore. In 2006, my husband and I extended our fence out 3 feet to be able to add to our backyard. Unaware that we needed to pull permits at the time. We had thought that was our property as well. This work was done without getting the permits. Now, 17 years later, the city is asking us to get permits and move back the fence that it was originally located at. Doing so would cost us thousands of dollars because we wholly remodeled the backyard. And it would cost, and we would also, the extension of our backyard. We received letters from an attorney or the paralegal located in Irvine demanding that we remove our work done or we would face legal action. It appears that this action by the city has initiated because of another resident wanting to do similar work on his property, was not allowed to do it, and informed management that many residents had done the work in the past. This is a true statement. There are about at least 13 residents that have moved their fences out 3 feet, put a 3 or 2 feet retainer wall, and done the work to enhance their backyards, just like we did. As we understand it, 3 residents have been issued permits. 10 have not. Herein lies the problem. City management has not been consistent with the policy issuing the permits. In one case, a resident on the corner of Santa Fe and Surrey was doing their work without a permit, was told by the city that they needed a permit. They applied for it, they got the permit, and they did the work. In another case, a resident went to the city hall twice. The second time was told, go ahead and do the work without the permit. That was stated on the February 14th City Council meeting. This inconsistency poses a problem which provides the argument that residents that having done the work should be allowed to pay for the permit and work with the city to access the property whenever it's needed. I am requesting the city council meet with our neighborhood residents to come up with a better solution so that the solution that was voted on in the past. We really asked this in good faith with the city. And we are looking forward to meet with you, with the city council, for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do have a copy for each.
If you want to, leave it with the clerk.
Yes, I do.
You're
Thank
going to
you for
leave
your
yours, huh?
time. I'm sorry?
You're going to leave yours, huh?
Oh, yes. I have another copy.
Next speaker is Brisa Romero.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Brisa Romero. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, and I am a board member for One Step a la Vez and a Fillmore native. I want to start off by saying Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. I am really glad to see that the City of Fillmore is continuing to host this Mental Health Resource Fair on May 20th for the community, and that we are continuing to discuss the importance of mental health in order to destigmatize it. That being said, I ask that you offer the same support and recognition for Pride Month next month. On the topic of mental wellness, I would like to share some statistics from Trevor Project's 2022 National Survey on LGBTQ mental health. According to this recently published survey, 73% of LGBTQ youth reported experiencing symptoms of anxiety, and 58% of LGBTQ+ youth reported experiencing symptoms of depression. 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, and nearly 1 in 5 transgender and non-binary youth attempted suicide in the past year. And finally, 60% of LGBTQ youth who wanted mental health care in the past were not able to receive it. As the rest of this meeting goes on, I would like you to think about these statistics I just shared. Mental wellness is clearly very important to us all, and Pride Month offers another opportunity to share LGBTQ mental resources for those in need. One Step a la Vez will host its 3rd annual Fillmore Pride Resource Fair on Friday, June 16th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the One Step a la Vez Center. This event was created in order to tell Fillmore LGBT people that they are accepted here, that they deserve to take up space, and to create a space where we can share community resources that are not available in our community. According to the Trevor Project, again, LGBTQ+ youth who live in a community that is more accepting of LGBTQ+ people report significantly lower rates of attempting suicide compared to those that do not. I know I spoke a bit today, so let me share my request once again. City Council, Mayor Mark Austin, I request that you include a Pride proclamation in the June City Council agenda, and that the City of Fillmore publicly support our 3rd annual Fillmore Pride Resource Fair. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next speaker is Gabriel Cardoza.
Hello, good evening on council, City Council. Hello, my name is Gabriel Cardoza, and I'm a youth here at One Step a la Vez. I'm here with Maya and Brisa to share my comments on the LGBT proclamation. And we are here to invite you to the 3rd annual Fillmore Pride Resource Fair. I would also like to say I feel good that Fillmore will continue to spread support to all LGBTQ people that don't feel comfortable coming out in this town. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Thank you. Maya Zumaya.
Good evening, Mayor Austin, City Council staff, and residents of Fillmore. I wanted to share the mission statement of One Step a la Vez. One Step a la Vez is to provide a safe environment for 13 to 19-year-olds in preparing informed, empowered youth who are equipped with the tools to lead, cultivate cultural awareness, bridge the gaps of inequality, and advocate for healthy individuals and communities. I am honored to support the amazing youth of One Step, like Gabriel, on the issues that are important to them. As an activist, I am honored at the opportunity to teach One Step youth how to find ways for dialogue and collaborative interaction with people who have diverse backgrounds, different perspectives, and dissimilar values. We invite, and I emphasize, peaceful and productive ways to support all youth in our community. I would additionally like to invite the City Council to meet our amazing youth, whether it be at our Pride Resource Fair or at a later time. And I would also like to thank other community agencies like our Chief of Police, our Chief of Fire, who have been working with us and open to supporting our youth in various ways. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker is Tim Holmgren. If you were here to speak on the ordinance and you don't want to speak, just tell me at the time when I call your name.
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, it is 9A that I was going to speak on. So I'll speak now during public comments, just so that you know where I stand. The reason that I came here tonight regarding that ordinance was just to tell you all thank you. The community members, that especially those that live near that area, are experiencing some significant public safety and health, public safety issues where people are, what I'm told is people are being stopped, they're being challenged, they're being threatened, they're being prohibited from the free use of community amenities. There are, not to mention how the presence of the certain element of homeless people are causing a danger to our groundwater. There are a lot of reasons why they shouldn't be there. Everybody has a heart, and if there's anybody that doesn't feel for the homeless, there's something wrong with them. But the issue is that there are elements within a homeless community that create a health and safety factor for the community members. There are neighbors that live near that area that have, let's call them mentally challenged people in their neighborhoods in the middle of the night at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, screaming at the top of their lungs. They're afraid to let their children out into the streets. They can't enjoy their community, and that's because of some people who are making it difficult. It doesn't mean that what I'm saying covers all homeless people, but your job is the health and welfare of our community members, the citizens who live here. And so I just want to say thank you very much for considering the camping ordinance, and whatever changes need to be made to conform to laws and Supreme Court decisions, I will support what you all do. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Maroney?
Good evening, Council. I, like Tim, am here to speak on 9A, and I also want to thank you guys for bringing this up to an issue that we can somehow come to some sort of agreement or decision on what is best for our community. I happen to live on the other side of the bridges. There's bike paths over there that you can go on. I will not walk with my dogs. I'm sure that not all of the homeless there are bad, but they make me uneasy. I have been attacked in the past in my life, and I don't personally feel comfortable. I also just want to bring up an issue that, as a tax-paying citizen, and listening to the other people that spoke earlier, I have to get permits for every single thing I do, including changing the grass on the, streetway there. If I wanted to put turf in, I have to get a permit. I have to come to the city for all of that. These people that are living in our watershed, and I'm not even allowed in the watershed as a tax-paying person. If I am out there wandering around and somebody from the city, I can get ticketed for that. I was told that from the building commission. We're not allowed in there, but they're allowed in there. They can build their structures that they have, and there's no permitting or anything that goes on for them, but yet we are all penalized and with what we do in our yards. So I just want to bring that up as just an equality issue for your citizens. And I do appreciate you guys bringing this up and looking into it further. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Annette Sula.
Hi guys, I'm Annette Sula. I've been here for 36 years. I don't know what to say. I came here again tonight also to say we're applauding the fact that you have a plan to do something that might be of benefit to all of our community, including those people that are in our riverbed. But it sounds like that we are being bullied by outside governmental interests, and we know that California has some really strange laws about this. We live in Fillmore. We don't live in LA because we don't want to live in LA. So I'm asking you to consider very carefully, how you can, without bringing huge lawsuits against us, do something. This was a step. I mean, it wasn't going to fix it, but it was a step that was going to be moving in the right direction, and there are those among us who are doing things to make a more reasonable solution. So, and also, we made a contract with the shelter in Santa Paula, which we donate, which we paid for, to house some of our homeless. So we have a solution that we already formed. I understand you guys are saying that they're saying that that's not enough for compliance or something, but we have that. If they're saying we can't share with the community in Santa Paula in doing that, and we have to have one here, well, where? And who's going to pay for it? And what is that going to do to our community? So please, as you go forward, I'm so tired of our freedoms being taken away from us, and if we don't stand up, then if it gets as worse as it gets, then we have nobody to blame but ourselves. So please, I know that you want to do the right thing, and I know that you're trying to do the right thing, but understand this is a matter of our being able to be self-governing within our own community, and that is a right that we are given in this country. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker is Luana Brock.
Good evening, Council. I too was here to say thank you. To see 9A on the agenda. I feel like we've been having a good dialogue at some of the City Council meetings that I've been coming to. And I wasn't going to get up once I heard that it was withdrawn, but when I heard these folks speak about their fence issues, it kind of made me want to get up and speak again, because one of the things that I hear over and over again is the inconsistency in the application of the rules and regulations. We have rules and regulations that govern the watershed. If Luann Brock goes down there to build a chicken coop, Luann Brock is not going to be allowed to do that. These people that went through all the processes that they thought they were doing right to now be told that they may be sued by the city is very, very concerning to me. I urge you to move forward with this ordinance. I understood that the ordinance was put together not by the Fillmore City Council, but by a group, a collaborative group within the county of experts on the situation. That concerns me, that we have an ordinance before us that was put together by the people that know what they're doing, and at the last minute it gets pulled from our council meeting. So I will look forward to continued dialogue. Thank you.
Next speaker is Karen Diaz.
Good evening, Mayor, Mark Austin, and council and staff. I'm here to also speak about the watershed issue. I also live at 56 Rio Grande Street. I'm right across from the old sewer plant that's there. I have 5 grandchildren that live at my home, and we constantly hear screaming and yelling all hours of the day and the night. Screaming, help me, and a lot of foul language. It frightens my grandkids. They're told the minute they hear anything, they're to come in the house. One of them is 13 years old. She can be out there with them, but we usually have the garage door open so that we can keep an eye on them. But all this freedom that they used to have, they no longer have. We have homeless that walk through the neighborhood. A lot of them walk through 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We've witnessed that. There is now empty wine bottles, liquor bottles on the park area, in the grass area, all off Burlington. My neighbors moved in from Oxnard, right across the street from us, They were so excited. They loved the area. They loved Fillmore, everything about it. This is great. This is peaceful. This is wonderful. My neighbor went across the street with her kids to go play in the park. And here you have somebody coming over that lives in the riverbed with a dog, not on a leash, that charges at the kids. That's it. She's done. No more park for them. And it's so sad. It's so, so sad. Recently, you've taken down the paneling on the bike path. Why? It's now down. All we can see now is the old sewer plant. Why? Because they are taking down the paneling. They are destroying it. So I don't know whose decision it was to throw up a chain link fence, but somewhere I heard someone was going to put cameras, which hasn't happened. I don't know what's going on with that. Last year we had a fire there. I'm sure you all aware of it. And recently they've lit fires there, and I have been told, it's not fact, but I've been told that they're allowed to have set up little fires to keep themselves warm because they're cold. I understand they're cold. I mean, I feel for them, but this is choices that they have. They have choices. And we live there, and I've been there 18 years. My mother's here. She's 85 years old. She walks the bike path. Recently, we had 2 overdoses, I'm sure you're all aware of. Needles, what's going to be on the ground where we walk? She can't walk by herself anymore like she used
Karen,
to.
can you wrap it up?
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Leticia Ramirez?
My name is Leticia Ramirez. I was here earlier speaking, and so I live in the same area. So we're talking about the same area. I am excited about that you guys are trying to do something about the situation there. I feel bad for the homeless. I mean, I'm not here to criticize them or to anything like that. But I mean, that area used to be like a sanctuary to all of us there. I mean, it's peaceful. The walkway there was like, I run, I walk, I do, it just felt nice to be there. And now, my daughter got a dog, and so now I don't even let her walk by herself with the dog, because now we don't even know who's gonna be out there yelling or who's gonna be out there. A neighbor told us that, they saw somebody walking with a knife there. So it's like, it's getting very unsafe. And this is actually really what the city should be concerned about instead of our fences. This is very concerning, what the situation with the homeless right now. And so that would be very, if this is what you guys are here to help the residents. We are asking for you guys to help us with this, and this is our request. And it's nice to hear that there is something that you guys are working with, but now I heard that it wasn't even the city council that came up with it, but it was an organization. So what does it tell us? I mean, we voted you guys in here to help us, to be there for us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Brandy Hollis.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to talk about the ordinance. One, I think it's a fantastic idea, but I feel like it's a little bit too late. Like a year and a half ago, that would have maybe worked out perfectly, but now our numbers are so drastically high that if we removed everybody from the riverbed area, where are they going to go? There is no beds available, let me tell you. There's 1 or 2 at each shelter throughout the county, if that. There's a waiting list. Maria, who was living right here by the train station, she got transported today and housed today at Spirit of Santa Paula. Spirit of Santa Paula, which apparently we gave money to. I'm not really sure about that. They do have Fillmore people. I sat and talked with a woman today who husband died and she had broken her ribs and she could no longer pay her rent. So an elderly lady was living by herself on a bunk in Spirit Santa Paula. But where are they going to go? Unfortunately, the people in the riverbed are using fentanyl. That's a known fact. People are overdosing every day. Narcan is not readily available in Fillmore. I am personally distributing it through private funding, donors, and sponsorship. If they come up with this fentanyl, I don't know if anybody's YouTube accidental fentanyl overdoses. Unfortunately, it does happen to our law enforcement quite a bit where they're searching somebody's car, get accidentally exposed to fentanyl, and now they're overdosing, right? What happens when that fentanyl is on our streets and our kids overdose and you guys can't get Narcan and your child's dying and it's not readily available? What are we going to do then? I'm sorry. It's too little too late. Like, this should have been done a year ago when we didn't have the numbers we do. What are we going to do, Fillmore, tomorrow? Say we gave those 72-hour notice. They're on our street. What are we going to do with 25 people in Fillmore proper who are on fentanyl, being zombies, as I call it? I go to Ventura every Monday morning, and I'm down on the avenue and in the riverbed in Ventura, and it's like Night of the Living Dead down there. And I know it's like Night of the Living Dead down there. I picked up Noah on Monday, who is from Fillmore but is living in Ventura for his own choices. He said the PTSD and the trauma that he got exposed to down in our riverbed has scared him to death. Imagine if all that really scary stuff was up on our streets where our kids can see it, where our families can see it, we can be exposed to it. I mean, it's going to be a real problem. And I think this ordinance would be fantastic with proper support. There's no plan B, C, or D. It's, hey, let's give these notices and get these campers out. Yes, I saw the light go off. I'll stop talking right now. But I think you guys need to think way more in depth. So, good call. And
thank you. Next speaker is Diane Sutton.
I'm in awe of people that can just speak freely. I had to write mine, okay? And a plug for the library. This was a zip book that I got that will be available in the library. It's about the homeless. I read this, and anyway, it was very informative. So this is what, not to prolong this issue, but it's also regarding the ordinance, and thank you for listening to me. I would like to thank our City Council for taking steps in establishing an ordinance to give guidelines to those who choose to live in Fillmore's out-of-doors public areas. The potential growth of homelessness in Fillmore can and will overwhelm tax-paying citizens with enforcement, transitioning into shelter, toxic cleanup, and dealing with the aftermath of lawlessness, to name a few. I hear the concerns of what to do once the homeless are removed from the riverbed. There are resources the city has posted on their website. It's a matter of connecting the homeless with these resources, and there are good-intentioned people, brave people, working with our law enforcement to get as many people the services they need. The problem is many of the homeless do not want to transition this free lifestyle. They don't want to get help for substance abuse or mental health issues. They expect advocates for homelessness to protect them on the streets as though they are endangered species, when they are actually very resourceful. They find their drugs and alcohol however they pay for them. They build rent-free shelter from the weather, no taxes, imagine that. They have cell phones and in some cases help themselves to private property, as it's been discovered in their encampments in the river bottom. If there's opposition to this ordinance in Fillmore as a first step towards eliminating the problem of homelessness, I ask you to consider what has happened in the Ventura River, which has been occupied by the homeless and polluting our ocean for over 40 years because of Ventura's benign neglect. There are many examples across our state and country of what can happen if this is allowed to exist. This is Fillmore's proverbial camel's nose under the tent. I heard it said that some of our youth plan to move into the river bottom to get away from parents' authority when they see a hands-off approach to the homeless. Imagine a riverbed full of disobedient teenagers. In the long run, this ordinance will benefit the families, businesses, residents, visitors, and hopefully the homeless that are in transition. Thank you for putting this ordinance together as a first step. Maybe we can consider task committees or something. As Brandy said, this is pretty complicated. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Rhonda Taylor.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and staff. I'd like to thank you all for this ordinance for 9A. That's what I came to talk about tonight. We have been trying to rack our brains and come up with some kind of solution because we are concerned citizens here in Fillmore, but I just want to thank you for this first step. My husband Paul and I moved here to California from a state where rivers and streams are abundantly full, to this state in California where the drought is continuous. And I have to say that I never knew what a drought really was until we moved here to California. I heard all about it, but didn't know anything personally about it. So it's continuous and never ending. Therefore, we must protect our waterways. We must protect our watershed with all due diligence. This is what I know. I'm not an expert, but I'm trying to be. I'm trying to learn all about droughts and about waters and how they run and the watershed because that's really foreign to me. Having the camping ordinance will greatly benefit our community as well as all of the downstream cities affected by how we here in Fillmore take care of our beautiful land and watershed. That's why I'm asking you to please continue to work on this ordinance so that we as a community can come up with the best solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jack Wu.
Thank you, Mayor and the City Council members. I'm a resident over here. My name is Jack Wu. I'm a resident over on Burlington Street on the 800 blocks. And I actually had the fortunate opportunity to be able to work from home most of the times. So during the daytime, I actually see a lot of traffic going down Burlington Street. Most recently, over the last 2 years, I noticed there are many, many unknown cars to me because the street is only one side that's actually filled with houses. The other side just nice, peaceful grass. Now, to set the preface to let you know, we actually moved in here 10 years ago thinking that we were only going to be in Fillmore for a year to year and a half. Guess what? 10 years later, we're still here. We fell in love with the town. With a small town where everybody knows everybody, where everything is all peaceful. And we love our police force, we love our firemen, and I work with a lot of police force and firemen in my job, so I appreciate everything that they do to keep the city safe. Then again, back to where I get to work from home, and because my house, fortunately enough, we were equipped with a Ring camera, so I actually get to see many unknown cars that are parked right in front of my house. And you can see that the individual who's parked there all of a sudden will break out a cell phone. Then they will send some text message or perhaps make a phone call. They will sit there and wait for a few minutes. Then minutes later, they move. Where do they move to? Right down to the 700 block down the street on Burlington, just right before the underpath of the bridge. And guess what they're doing? Someone runs out, right underneath the bridge, they run right back into the car within 30 seconds, and then they take off. Folks, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out what they're doing. And that is happening right there on Burlington Street constantly on a daily basis. It is making a point where my wife and I, and now we cannot actually go out and enjoy, because just like yesterday, last night, we were trying to make it, we actually saw something happening, and I wanted to pick up the phone and actually dial the police. I actually wanted to pick up the phone and start recording a video. But my wife said, don't confront them, because you don't know what they're carrying. Am I right? So should we confront them? Should we do a citizen's arrest? We're asking you, please This ordinance is very important to us. We know it's not a solve-it-all, but it is the proper step to take. And I'm only up here speaking because I noticed that 3 minutes is not enough for many of these citizens over here to express their concerns. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any more speakers, so we're going to move on to item number 7, City Council reports, recommendations, and comments. Chris, do you have any items?
Left my iPad up here.
I have no specific items, but I would just like to thank everyone who came to speak today, even though we won't be speaking as a council on item 9A. Thank you so much for coming out to express your concerns, for everything that you're experiencing in the community. Please continue to feed us information to continue to address issues within the city. Thank you.
Okay. Any, Christina?
I do, thank you. And I'm just repeating Chris's comments. Again, we're not able to speak on the item, as will be brought up again in a future city council meeting, but I respect and I thank you all for coming out to speak on it. It is an important issue that we're working on in council. We want to make sure we get it as right as we can. So I appreciate everyone for that. I did want to, since we are in the recommendations and comment section, I did want to make a couple of comments. A couple of people mentioned it, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I just wanted to show here that the city of Fillmore is declaring Mental Health Awareness Month for May 2023. I'm just going to read about 3 whereases. I don't want to be too long, but I wanted to say that whereas, according to the World Health Organization, over 450 million people suffer from a mental illness. And whereas only 1 out of 2 people with a serious form of mental illness seeks treatment for their mental illness. And whereas people with mental illness recover if given the necessary services and support in their community, that our Mayor, Mark Austin, has proclaimed May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Fillmore. So thank you, Mayor. We will have our Health and Resource Fair on May 20th. Information is on the city's, posted on the city's Instagram page and social media, and hopefully our main website. And I wanted to thank also the One Step Alaves crew who came out tonight and spoke, and the youth, and just wanted to say that as June does approach, I really do hope that we can, as a city, support Pride Month and LGBTQ in our community, and be supportive of everyone in our community, and show that we can come together and support a particular community of LGBTQ plus that are going through a lot right now in our larger society. So, thank you.
I wanted to issue the same sentiments as Councilman Garola and Council Member Villaseñor. I want to thank all the residents that came out to speak on item 9A, and we are working very hard on this issue, and trust me, I'm putting hours and hours and hours of my time into this, and I know my fellow council members are doing the same, and we just want to give you guys the assurance that we are going to do this the right way. So that's all I have to say at this time, but we are working on it.
And I just want to reiterate the same thing. I know as a council, individually, we have all been doing our homework and studying diligently. I feel like I've gone back in time, and I'm back and taking law classes and doing research on some of the legal issues that pertain to this really complicated issue. So we don't want to make a misstep, and that's why I think it was wise for Christina to make the motion this evening to pull it back until we can get caught up on some laws that are coming down the pike, because we don't want to make things worse than instead of better. So thank you for all of you who spoke. I want to especially thank people who reached out to me either via phone or via email, and our text. I will always respond, and I appreciate that. And we appreciate your 2 cents on these issues.
And I have to reiterate what all the council members said. We just want to get this right. We don't want to make a couple mistakes and have this backfire on the city of Fillmore. We don't want to go down the legal path on this. So that's why we're doing our homework. That's why we decided to continue this. So that was our rationale. Okay? Any other comments? With that, I'm going to move on to number 8, consent calendar. Can I entertain a motion for the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Georgie, would you take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brogy?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez?
Yes.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to item number, I guess it's 9B, since we don't have a 9A. Approval of the 2023-2024 agreement with Fillmore Unified School District to fund 2 school resource officers, and I'd like to turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff, and our community members. I'm here today to request that the City Council approve an agreement with Fillmore Unified School District for the continuation of 2 deputy sheriff positions in the city's existing police services contract with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office to serve as school resource officers for fiscal year 2023 and 2024. This position has been on since 2020 when council approved it. Last year, City Council approved the 1-year extension for this position, which ends on January 30th of this year. If approved today, we're requesting another year extension that'll push that position through till January 30th of 2024. There is no fiscal impact to the city, as the SRO position will remain a pass-through cost wherein the Fillmore Unified School District pays for the entire cost of that position. That's all I have. Any questions I can answer?
Any questions for the chief?
I have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go, either one.
Just for my own curiosity here, I know, so that we have 2 officers.
Correct.
Is that sufficient? I mean, at this point, obviously financially, we're
Yeah,
stuck, but.
We always want more, right?
Yeah.
But initially they started with the 1 at the high school, and obviously the addition of the second one has made a huge improvement. I communicate pretty often with the Fillmore Unified School District, and they're super happy with the 2. I would say that for now that's sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And my question is not related to this, but actually just sort of like an educational question. I know that there's a lot of people who are listening live and maybe just, haven't been a part of knowing what school resource officer is. So if you could just give a brief description of what they do for
Yeah, so currently we have, for those that don't know, we have 2 school resource officers. One of them is assigned to our high school here in town, and the second one is added to the middle school. Obviously, that age group requires a little bit more attention by our youth. So the smaller elementary schools, they do periodically rotate through and make visits, but they primarily stay within those 2 schools. But they provide high visibility at the campus. They engage with the kids and help out with any questions they may have, reference ongoing issues. They mentor a lot of the kids. They help investigations within the schools, any kind of investigations that involve our youth there. Our deputies there are on scene to help ensure that those investigations get handled properly. And they also, like I said, engage a lot with the kids. A lot of our Explorer program or Explorer advisors or Explorer youth come from the high school, so they preach a lot of that. They do a lot of, they conduct like tobacco awareness talks at the schools, drug awareness class, gang awareness class. They interact a lot with the teachers and they communicate with them as far as some of the trends that they may be seen at the school that can be of concern, so that the school district can kind of tackle those problems early on. A lot of outreach. And their whole purpose is to kind of maintain peace, and not necessarily enforcement per se, which they do if the need arises, but it's primarily just to be there and engage with the kids and ensure public safety on school grounds.
That was perfect, Lalo. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. I think it's helpful for folks to know that, be reminded of it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, we have 2 speakers. First speaker is Annette Sula.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on this because I think it is a really important thing that's happening in Fillmore, and it's really good for our children to learn that our policemen are here to serve us. I remember when I was a child, my mother would always say if there was a problem or something, go up to a policeman and tell them, and that they'll help you, and for some reason, our police departments have been given a bad rap for quite a few years, and it's nice to see this happening again, where the children understand they're there to help, they're there to support, and they're there to protect. And so I'm highly in favor of this. I want to just backstep just a little bit and say, last year or the year before, we've been talking about the LGBTQ plus parades and all that, and here's the thing. We can't give support to every organization in town. We just can't.
Annette?
Yeah.
That isn't the agenda item, so.
So I can't talk on that at all?
No.
Okay, well, thank you anyway.
Next speaker is Rhonda Taylor.
Good evening again. I would like to say what a wonderful job that our resource officers do at school. I really appreciate the two that we have here in Fillmore, but I respectfully ask if there's any way, and I'm not sure how the city council pays or how the school system pays, but if there's any way that we could have more police officers, more resource officers at the elementary school, it would be such a big plus for our city. I came from another state. I was an educator, retired now, but I was a principal at my school, and I had a resource officer. And I was an elementary principal, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Wow, what a great job he did. What a great job that our deputies did in our area, but what an awesome thing for elementary school students to have a resource officer. Our kindergarten and 1st grade school had a resource officer, as well as the pre-K and the 3rd grade school had a resource officer. So the kids that came up from pre-K all the way to middle school already knew what the resource officer was and what his job was, or her job. Ours all happened to be men, so that's why I say his, but they had respect for our city and our police officers in our city. So it was all that you mentioned, all that Annette mentioned already was the organization and the really benefits from having an officer at every school. Not only just to show what they do in our community, but also to help us as the administrators in protecting the kids at our school. So I'm not sure what to ask, but it would be great if every school had a resource officer. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that the city authorize the extension of one deputy sheriff position to the existing police service contract, add a second officer for fiscal year 23-24 to be paid for by Fillmore Unified.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, would you take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villasenor,
Yes.
Mayor Austin,
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to item 9C, authorization to purchase one Public Works and Facilities Department maintenance vehicle. Turn it over to Troy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, residents of Fillmore. This is an item that was budgeted for in the fiscal year budget. We currently operate with 12 pickup trucks. We have enough staff, actually more staff than that, so requesting an additional truck. And, we have those 12 trucks, several of which are 15 to 20 years old. We do need to look at, forward thinking and replacing some of our vehicles in our fleet over time, as opposed to, letting them break down. So that is the request for the trucks. We've looked at some quotes from 3 different makes and models. Posted them in the staff report, and we're recommending purchasing the Chevy Silverado from Bunnan here in Fillmore.
Okay. Chris, do you have any questions? Chris? I guess.
Sorry, the unmute wasn't working great.
Do you have any questions, Chris?
The one question I did have is, in the budget, it looks like it was classified as a water truck of some kind. Like, this, is that specifically what it's supposed to be used for? Like for the water distribution?
Well, it's, I mean, all of our trucks are used by the water distribution and street maintenance folks. So all of our classifications of job title is just Public Works Maintenance. But I think the line item in which it's being paid, it comes from the water distribution.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Troy?
Nope, no questions. I'll make a
Saying none,
motion.
I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate and purchase a public works and facilities truck through Bunham Chevrolet, not to exceed $49,800.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, would you take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villasenor?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Councilmember Broggie?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez?
Yes.
Okay. With that, we're going to move on to item number 10, committee, commissions, and board reports. Do you have anything, Chris?
No.
Okay. Christina, anybody else? Okay.
I do. We had the opportunity, our city manager Dave Rollins and I, to attend the Southern California Association of Governments conference last week, and it was helpful. It was interesting. The sessions they had scheduled. Most beneficial, I think, is the networking, because it gives us an opportunity to meet with our counterparts throughout the Southern California region. I was looking for my notes here. So 2 things that were standout issues for me at the conference was, number one, Ventura County received 1 of 7 awards, and specifically Ventura County's award was for Outstanding Achievement and Sustainability Award for agricultural workers housing, which I thought was interesting. So of all the counties that were involved, 1 of 7 awards went to Ventura County for what they were doing for building homes and housing the agricultural workers in our area. And then secondly, I don't know how many of you know or had an opportunity to ever work with Carmen Ramirez, who was from Oxnard, and she was on city council in Oxnard for several years, and a couple of years ago was elected to the Board of Supervisors, won her seat, and unfortunately she passed away last August suddenly. And she was very, very active in the Southern California Association of Government, and they did a tremendous job of recognizing her. So it was really great to see somebody from our county. The memorial page they had for her was amazing. They have another award that they've named after her that they gave out for the first time this year. So anyway, just wanted to share that information, and I know that, Carmen, again, was coming from Oxnard, so we may not have had a lot of interaction, but she was definitely an incredible servant for our county. So I thought that was great, and so I just wanted to share that with our community.
Anybody else?
I do have a report out on commission, and I think Albert may want to speak up on this also with our first 5 commissions. So this last Friday, I think it was just Albert and I, right? We had the pleasure of reading to 2 preschools here in town, and so you might have seen it on social media. But it's a campaign from the First 5 Commission, which is it's across all counties, and the emphasis is on helping children 0 to 5 learn to grow, to read, to become the best success that they can. And so this particular campaign helped to get elected officials and others in the county to spread out across different preschools and just sit down and read books in English y en español. And it was a great thing to do. And hopefully we'll just continue to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was a really great experience. I just want to add that I started in Spanish, but quickly had to, I couldn't finish it, so I asked for help. But it was a really good experience, and if anybody gets a chance, I would jump at it. It was really, for me, it was really rewarding. I felt great, going and reading to the kids, and they were really excited to have us there, and it was a great opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. With that, I'm going to move to City Manager's report, verbal report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder to the public that the Active Adult Center is currently open. We had a grand opening on Monday, had about 40 individuals there as well. The county came out and brought out some certificates for people to get groceries, and so we encourage everybody to come out there and get you registered to be part of senior programming. And also, just another item, today Councilor Brogan and I, we spoke with Supervisor Long and representatives from the Ag Commission, VCTC, and the CSN Apollo, and talked a little bit about Sierra Northern Railways with their president and their local district manager about some of the concerns that the residents do have within the outskirts of Fillmore, over Grand Avenue, and also the concerns we have as a city in terms of the trains blocking the walkway here right behind City Hall. According to Ken Beard, their director, the trains behind City Hall are supposed to be moved at the end of the month. They're trying to repair some lines to move them to. The cars on the other side of the railroads, according to their contract, they're allowed to have 100 train cars out there. And they're going to try to be working with one of the neighbors out there for an event that they're having at their house. So we're going to stay on top of them, make sure that they can do that. I just want to thank Councilor Brogy to keep this on the forefront. The VCTC is working on it as hard as they can. And again, we'll work within the parameters that we are tasked with the contract that's in place to make sure we don't violate that in any way, so we don't get sued, or BCTC gets sued anyway. So that is being worked on. We want to make sure everybody does understand we're trying to get those issues cleared up as best we can. That's all I have tonight.
Okay, with that, we're going to move to item number 12.
Mayor, can I add just one more thing to?
Sure.
The Active Adult Center is also looking for volunteers as well, right? Yeah, for drivers for the food share program. So if anybody can volunteer, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, with that, we're moving on to item number 12, closed session. The City Council will meet on 2 closed session items. The first will be conference with legal counsel. The agency will conduct a closed session because the agency is considering whether to initiate litigation in one case. The second item will go into closed session for conference with real property negotiator. The city will conduct a closed session to enable the City Council to consider negotiations, give directions in negotiation regarding the certain real property 308 Chambersburg Road. And on two items in closed session, there are no reportable actions on either item. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting at 6:30 on Tuesday, May 23rd, 2022. Meeting adjourned.